G'day guys and gal! I haven't really covered the Space Wolves much on this channel. It's not that I don't like them, I just haven't had many moments of inspiration about them or their prime arc. Something that does stand out about them, however, is their successor chapters, or complete lack thereof. Up until the arrival of the Primaris reinforcements, the Space Wolves were pretty much the only Sons of Rust that existed, with previous attempts to create successor chapters ending disastrously. Why is this? Sure, their gene seed is a bit off, making them a bit too fond of the word wolf and occasionally turning them into space werewolves, but that isn't that dramatic when compared to the Blood Angels, who literally lose their marbles and accidentally massacre their own allies semi-regularly. Before we get cracking, I just want to thank you legends for continuing to watch and support me. I don't take any of you for granted, and it's unreal to be able to do what I do full time. On that note, if you're a long-time viewer or new to the channel and not yet subscribed, it would be sick if you slapped that subscriber button. It's kinda greedy me saying that because our sub versus non-sub watch rate is obscenely good, but I'm a greedy piece of shit. So let's send it. I want to hit 420,000 subscribers by the end of the year for obvious reasons. Today I will answer the question, why don't the Space Wolves have successor chapters? Going over the various factors in play that prevented them from forming successors, as well as what happened when they tried. We'll then discuss the new Primaris successors the Space Wolves have gotten, that was a tongue twister and a half, and why they're able to exist. Let's get into it. Just for some context about what a successor chapter is and why the legions were broken down into them. During the Great Crusade, the power of a Space Marine legion, generally numbering around 250,000 Astartes with millions of servants to support them, was an obscenely powerful force, able to easily conquer entire sectors of the galaxy in a very short period of time. The Horus Heresy occurred because all Chaos had to do was convert the leader of each legion to their cause, which would bring about 75% of the legion over with them. Long story short, the power of a legion was too much for a single person to command. Hence, post-Heresy, Guilliman, who had taken the role of Lord Regent, ordered each of his surviving loyalist brothers to break apart their legion into successor chapters, numbering no more than 1,000 Astartes each. Some of his brothers were like, yeah, no worries, mate, and others told him to go fuck himself. However, eventually they all relented to his will when it looked like another civil war was about to break out. Leman Russ was on the fuck you side of the fence. He was never one for following direct orders despite being the Emperor's attack dog, and he thought Guilliman was being an uppity little shit who didn't have the right to command his brother's legions. However, Leman wasn't as stupid as everyone thought. He knew he would have to make some kind of concession, hence he told Guilliman that he would break up his legion into 13 great companies, each company being roughly the strength of a chapter. Guilliman was okay with this, but in reality, the Space Wolves were already broken up into 13 great companies, which were already all dependent of each other and only answered to the Jarls, who in turn only answered to Leman. So basically, Leman changed absolutely nothing about his legion. Pulled an absolute fast one on the big blue man there. So that was the initial reason why the Space Wolves didn't get successor chapters. They refused to split their legion. However, Leman wasn't a successor hater. He saw the value in creating independent chapters and using them to cover more ground, fight more battles, and claim more space. Leman's ambition was to create enough Space Wolf successors to completely surround the Eye of Terror, making it impossible for Chaos to leave their domain, hence permanently nullifying mankind's greatest enemy. It was actually a really good idea on paper, especially since Space Wolves seem to have a knack for winning wars despite being outnumbered, outgunned, and refusing to wear their helmets. Unfortunately, their gene flaw, aka that thing that low-key makes them a bunch of dog fucking fairies, made splicing and copying their gene seed incredibly difficult, with the result being a total disaster. The first attempt was when the Wolf brother successor was created. The Space Wolves were so excited by their first successor that they gave them half their weapons, ships, and resources, even finding them their own ice world to claim. Unfortunately, as a result of being away from Fenris plus their extra unstable gene seed, the Wolf brothers began mutating really bad, with most of them becoming a Wolfen or worse. Now, Wolfen aren't the worst things ever. They are deadly in combat and extremely resistant to chaos. Hence, whilst the Wolf brothers were purged and expunged from Imperial records, many of them entered the Eye of Terror and managed to fuck shit up. However, ironically, the Wolf brothers that didn't mutate were the ones that fell to chaos and joined up with the chaotic warbands. All in all, a bit of a disaster. It didn't help that Leman had decided to go all weird and Odin-like, randomly ditching the Space Wolves to go on a hectic quest for 10,000 years. The dream of a ring of wolves around the eye almost seemed dead. However, there was still hope. an especially intelligent space wolf called Heraldia figured out how to splice the space wolf gene seed without resulting in successor chapters becoming a universal threat to every dog's asshole. It's unclear how he managed this, but it was said his knowledge about the Canis helix, which is the name of the space wolf gene flaw / massive buff, was similar to that of the Emperor's knowledge. On the cusp of a final breakthrough that would see the dream of space wolf successors realized, Magnus was like, nope, and he launched a fuck-huge invasion of Fenris. The primary goal of the invasion being the destruction of the successor research, as well as the killing of Heraldia, with the secondary goal being the complete annihilation of the Space Wolves. But considering Magnus has never been one for achieving goals, the Space Wolves' continued existence was pretty much guaranteed. The attack begun with Magnus easily baiting the majority of the Space Wolves away from Fenris. He pretty much just did like a big psychic dog whistle, and they came bounding down to attack. Hence, Magnus attacked the Fang with the entire might of the Thousand Suns against a skeleton defense force of about 100 Space Wolves and a number of dreadnoughts, including the legendary Bjorn the Fell-Handed. Magnus could not yet step foot upon the world because it was covered in anti-nerd sigils. Hence, the first part of the assault was to remove said sigils. Magnus arrives and beelines for the Successor research, reaching it, destroying it, before killing Heraldia. The Space Wolf main force then returns and routs the Thousand Suns, with Bjorn banishing Magnus himself. However, the damage was done. With the destruction of the research and the death of old mate Heraldia, the Wolves had no chance of creating stable successor chapters. Hence, for the next 10,000 years, the Space Wolves have been the sole descendants of Leman Russ. Sure, they have their various great companies, hence still have quite a significant presence in the galaxy, but nothing compared to the countless successors of all their loyalist cousins. I'll put it like this. The general number of chapters before the fall of Cadia was about 1,000, with an average of 1,000 Marines per chapter. Hence, there was approximately 1 million loyalist Marines in the galaxy. The Space Wolves and their 13 great companies number about 15,000 Marines. Hence, only 1.5% of loyalist Marines in the galaxy are Space Wolves, despite their legion making up around 15 to 20% of the original loyalist Marines at the end of the Horus Heresy. As such, Magnus's attack on the Fang removed about 90% of the Space Wolves' potential. There could be over 100,000 Marines surrounding the Eye of Terror, with Leman's blood running through their veins, but that isn't the case, so it's actually a very solid job done by Magnus. I mean, like, Chaos would be completely fucked if there was 100,000 Space Wolves waiting for them. Good luck to Abaddon. So the original reasons for the lack of successors was because they refused to divide their legion. Then they realized they couldn't create new successors, and then when they figured it out, a big fucking red nerd ruined it permanently. So it's a good thing that a big fucking red nerd was the one to fix it. That's right, Belisarius Cawl was able to splice Space Wolf gene seed to not only create successor chapters for the Space Wolves, but also to mostly stabilize their gene flaw, meaning that they maintain their hunter's instinct and keen senses without devolving into cringy space werewolves. They can still become wolfen, but it's significantly rarer. Despite this, when Guilliman arrived on Fenris to give the wolves their new toys, a lot of the Space Wolves were like, get fucked mate. The wolves were extremely cultural, probably the most divergent from the Codex Astartes out of all the loyalists. To them, being a Space Wolf was more than just your gene seed. After some careful thinking and some likely not too subtle threats from the Custodes, Logan Grimnar, the leader of the Space Wolves, accepted the Primaris as sons of Russ, and he allowed them to prove themselves in battle. They were also inducted into the rituals and ceremonies of the Space Wolves to bind them to Fenris. Despite initially seeming like a poison pill that would ultramarinify the Space Wolves, the new Primaris reinforcements were every bit as unruly and savage as their firstborn brothers. 3 Primaris-only successor chapters were formed. The first was the Ice Fangs, which was made up of the more psychically gifted wolves, a lot of rune priests and such. Then there was the Wolf Spear, who were the grim, ruthless hunters, preferring shock and awe lightning attacks that would leave the enemy terrified and devastated. Then finally, the Moon Eaters, who some random chick at GW created and put into the 459th edition of the White Dwarf magazine. Whilst I can only find 3 known successors, there's probably more, and it opens up the doors for countless future Space Wolf chapters, as now they have the technology and knowledge to crank them out. Imagine you're Magnus, smug as fuck because you prevented your arch-rival's sons from spreading. You can see most of the galaxy, have plans centuries ahead, and low-key know the future. Then bang, Guilliman out of nowhere, completely fucks up all your predictions and plans, then bang, the motherfucker whips out 3 Space Wolf successors, replenishes the wolves to full strength, makes them stronger, and gives them the technology to easily create new successors. Biggest fucking bruh moment. Then to add salt to the wound, when you try and kill Guilliman using your wicked psychic powers, he uppercuts the shit out of you, then with the help of a bunch of blank chicks and space elves, he banishes your ass back to hell. I would say that's a rough one, but Magnus should be used to that kind of result by now. The final cool little note is that now the Space Wolf successors are a thing, you can create your own Space Wolf homebrew chapter, and it won't break the lore or canon. So if you weren't a huge fan of the Space Wolves' more muted color scheme, then here you go. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Where only $1 per month give you access to a big ass library of cartoon titties. Not yet including Space Wolves, because I'm not sure if that constitutes bestiality or not. Let me do some more research and I'll get back to you. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more successful content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.